Good evening. It is 6 o'clock, so I will call to order this meeting of the Noblesville Common Council. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Davis will lead us this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lees, will you call the roll?
Mr. Boyce.
Present.
Mr. Davis.
Present.
Mr. Elliott.
Present.
Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Mr. Schwartz.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
Mr. Thurston.
Present.
Ms. Wiles.
Present.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Move on to the approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Approval of the executive session memorandum from the January 14th, 2025 meeting.
Madam President, I move to approve the memorandum on January 14th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the memorandum from January 14th. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Great. Approval of minutes from the January 14th, 2025 meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the January 14th meeting. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Wonderful. Next is petitions or comments by citizens who are present. I do not have any, but if you're so interested, you can fill out a card in the back and then turn it into the table right up here, and then they'll let us know. Okay. We will move on to council committee reports. All I have is the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. We met January 23rd, Pete Schwartz, Aaron Smith, Todd Thurston, and myself. Tom McDonald talked to us about an update on year-end appropriation transfers per RC-1-24. And Jeff Spalding discussed an update on capital projects for the short-term general obligation bond of 2024. And Tom McDonald talked to the fiscal action additional appropriation to reinstate strategic spend down appropriations for the parks capital project. That and the claims docket come to the council with a favorable recommendation.
So can we have a motion to approve the claims?
Madam President,
Mr. Smith.
I move that we approve the claims as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. I did not follow the agenda. I apologize. Mayor Jensen, do you have any comments? Nope. You're good this evening? All right. Sorry about that. We will move on to previously discussed ordinance. Council to consider ordinance number 75-12-24, an ordinance annexing approximately 42.5 acres in Noblesville Township, east of State Road 37, west of Presley Drive Extended, and approximately 1,315 feet south of East 186th Street. Joyce Danielle.
Good evening. Again, this is a site that contains approximately 43 acres. It is owned by Hamilton County. Proposed on the east half of this lot will be the Hamilton County Public Safety Center. On the west half of that lot exist solar panels as well as a cellular tower. At our last meeting, you approved the fiscal analysis by resolution. This would be a final vote on the annexation application this evening.
Any questions?
Madam President,
Mr. Davis.
I move to approve ordinance number 75-12-24.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 75-12-24 as presented. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Lees.
Mr. Boyce.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Elliott.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson.
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Thurston.
Aye.
Ms. Wiles.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 nay. The ordinance is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. New ordinance for discussion. Council to consider ordinance number 02-01-25, An ordinance approving an additional appropriation in the park fund to satisfy Indiana Department of Local Government Finance technical requirement for the 2025 Civil City adopted budget and establishing a public hearing.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Mr. McDonald, good evening.
Yep. Madam President, members of the council, Tom McDonald, Deputy Financial Officer. And this additional appropriation would serve as a technical adjustment to reconcile the city's budget that you adopted in October to the certified budget amount that was approved by the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance. So Indiana law requires local units of government to report their proposed budgets before they are adopted. And the budget that was reported to DLGF did not include a $1.6 million appropriation from the park fund. And so that even though the adopted budget that you approved did include that appropriation, it needs to be reappropriated to comply with DLGF certification requirements. So this would otherwise not increase the budget beyond what you have already approved. As confusing as that may sound.
So really, this is just a hurdle with the state house that we're trying to.
That's correct.
Figure out
Just-
how to, yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. McDonald?
Madam President,
Mr. Davis?
I move to establish a public hearing at the February 11th meeting for ordinance 020125.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to establish a public hearing at the February 11th meeting for ordinance 02-01-25. This is a hand vote, so all those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Thank you very much. Miscellaneous item number 1. Council to consider memorandum of understanding supplement confirming 2025 compensation rates based on meet and confer agreement with the International Association of the Firefighters Local 4416. You do not look like Chief Matt Mitchell.
Thank you, President Wiles and members of council. Matt Light, on behalf of Chief Mitchell, pleased to present this supplement to you. As you are aware, for the past 2 cycles, when we've gone through the meet and confer process with the union representatives for the fire department and the police department, we've entered into 2-year agreements. In those 2-year agreements, we've taken a lot of factors into account and come up with a compensation adjustment for year 1 that was definitive, and then a compensation adjustment for year 2 that was conditioned upon how well the city performed relative to its fiscal plan and its financial projections. For year 2 of the agreement with both the police and fire unions, because they were modeled similarly, because of how we performed on the upper end of those financial projections, the compensation that was determined based on those conditional agreements was an 8% increase for all sworn personnel. So this MOU supplement really does 3 things. First, it confirms that 8% increase that was already included in the approved budgets and sets forth the hourly rates for each of the ranks within the department. Second, within the compensation structure for the fire department, there are certain pay elements that are indexed to the first-class firefighter. So paramedic pay, holiday pay, and some other pays that are indexed to that. So it confirms those amounts based on that 8% adjustment. And then the final thing it does is to adjust the rates for 4 individuals, 2 positions, EMS duty officer, of which there are 3, and the community resource paramedic. The approach and the goal between labor and management has been to align those pay scales with the pay of a lieutenant. With some of the adjustments that we made going into the 24-25 agreement, we didn't catch that those were kind of out of alignment. So there's changes made to bring up the EDOs and the CRPs to the same pay as the lieutenant. In order to make this budget neutral overall, the fire department decreased proportionally their 200, 300, and 400 series requests relative to the targets we established for all other departments. So we appreciate your consideration of this MOU. I want to say thanks to Jim Butts and Travis Lee with the fire union for their able representation of the union membership, and this agreement allows us to continue to move forward in being competitive with compensation and working conditions for our sworn personnel.
Thank you. Any questions?
Will there be a similar memorandum for police as well?
So we will have one that will really just have the 8%. They don't have those other 2 elements, so it's more straightforward, but we'll do that just to make sure that everything is squared away.
Any other questions for Mr. Moore?
Madam President,
Yes. Mr. Davis.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding supplement for the IAFF Local 4416.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the memorandum of understanding supplement with IAFF Local 4416. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Thank you very much. Council to consider resolution RC-4-25, a resolution concerning the acquisition of real estate. Andrew Rodewald. Good evening.
Good evening, Andrew Rodewald, Engineering Department. Before you is a resolution for land acquisition for State Road 38 and Logan Street roundabout. This is part of an agreement that the city signed with NDOT in 2019 to partner on, at the time, 3 roundabout intersections, one of which has been rolled into another agreement. But as part of that, we would have a 50-50 cost share on the entirety of the project. So the city will be moving forward with the purchase of right-of-way, which would then count towards our total 50% committal on it. Happy to entertain any questions.
When would construction start?
Likely physical road construction in 2027. You'll probably see some utilities in 2026.
What's the total cost of the roundabout?
Total cost of the roundabout is probably going to be in the $5 million range.
Okay.
Yeah, with construction, right-of-way and whatnot.
Any additional questions?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Davis.
I move to approve resolution RC-4-25.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution RC-4-25. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council to consider resolution RC-5-25, a resolution supporting creation of a professional sports development area for Innovation Mile. Mr. Light.
Thanks again, President Wiles, members of council. This resolution is before you to seek your official endorsement in seeking professional sports and convention development area legislation, PSCDA, or you may sometimes hear it referred to just as professional sports development areas, or PSDA legislation, to continue our development and financial strategies for building out Innovation Mile. There's a mechanism in state statutes that's existed for some time for the legislature to authorize certain areas associated with professional sports franchises. We're excited, as you know, to be welcoming the Pacers G League team later this fall. And for facilities, hotels, and other venues surrounding those professional sports franchises, in addition to convention centers that are an eligible use as well. And it's described by one of the leaders at the state legislature as a way to incentivize communities that are kind of sticking their neck out to make investments that will generate new income for the state and for the community, and to allow them to take a portion of the state sales tax and the state income tax and to dedicate it towards the debt service on that capital project. So we've been having conversations through Hamilton County Tourism, other local partners, as well as with legislative leaders on this possibility, doing economic impact analysis to kind of make the business case to demonstrate that the benefit for the state is significant, and we're moving forward in that regard. This resolution helps to again express the alignment between the mayor's office and council on getting this done, bringing these resources to Noblesville to support the debt service on the event center, and then to continue to give us resources as we move forward with Innovation Mile. There are currently 6 PSDAs that are authorized in state statute, so we're seeking to be added as a 7th community. Westfield is also pursuing a similar designation, and I think their council heard a similar resolution last night at their council meeting, kind of pursuing a similar approach. The economic impact analysis that we've had done is by Hunden Partners. You've heard previous reports from Hunden or seen their studies when we first looked at the investment decision on the partnership with the Pacers and the Event Center. There's a lot of overlap with the analysis for a PSDA, and they show that the build-out of Innovation Mile that's anticipated from the master plan and many items that are already under a taxpayer agreement and committed to is expected to generate for the state more than $1.015 billion over a 32-year period. And that 32-year period coincides with the CDC bond repayment debt service schedule for the event center. So we've kind of compared our overall economic impact to The communities that have the PSDA, what their annual caps are for taking a portion of that state sales and income tax, and we think we're in a strong position to make the case and have already, again, had a lot of conversations toward that end. So appreciate your support for this resolution and the overall effort, and would be happy to answer any questions.
So this is not a new tax. This is a way that our investment, we've made an innovation mile to keep dollars that would normally go down to the state. Some of them will stay here locally.
That's correct. In a lot of ways, it's similar to the discussion on TIF. It's only the new revenues that are generated, taking a portion of those and putting those towards the capital costs.
Do we have an estimation on the cap or how much that would generate?
So thanks for that question. There are caps that vary by community. Fisher's cap is $2 million per year. Fort Wayne and South Bend have a $5 million cap per year. Indianapolis has 2 PSDAs that are larger in magnitude. We think with the comparisons between our economic impact and the other communities that we could justify something in the $5 million range, similar to Fort Wayne's and to South Bend's.
That'll be set by the state. Okay.
That's right. So the process would be first state legislature authorization. Then we would come back to the council to officially draw the district, and then it would go to the state budget agency for final approval.
When did the state legislature first, off the top of your head, if you know, when did they first create this tool for?
Indianapolis's first one goes back, I think, about 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Madam President,
Mr. Davis?
I move to approve resolution RC-5-25 as presented.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded to approve Resolution RC-5-25 as presented. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Wright. Council to receive a summary of fiscally neutral year-end appropriations pursuant to Resolution RC-1-24. Mr. McDonald.
Again, Tom McDonald, Deputy Financial Officer. And this item is to comply with a requirement in RC-1-24 that our office provide you with a summary of the 2024 year-end appropriation transfers that were made as part of the book closing process. And in the materials that we provided, you would find a spreadsheet summary of each appropriation transfer that was made. They're itemized by fund, department, and major expense category, which is the level of appropriations that you approved. And the reasons for that these transfers were made vary. A really good example that you'll find is in the police department. Their personal services budget was exceeded by roughly $57,000 due to overtime costs. Those were unexpected. So a transfer was made from the personal services contingency appropriation to the police department so that account closed in the not negative and positive. Again, there's various transfers that you'll find. I'm happy to answer. I won't go through all of them out of respect for your time, but happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. McDonald?
Just a comment, the
Sure.
Finance Committee went through this when we met last week, and I appreciate the transparency on your guys' end. Any business would just make the motions to do this on their own, and so this is a good, transparent way to show us how you're closing up shop for the end of the year.
Anything else? This is just a report, so no action is needed for this.
That's correct.
So with that, we have come to the end of our agenda. For council comments. Yes, Mr.
Excuse
Elliott.
me, sorry. I wanted to acknowledge Matt Doubt, our city photographer. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Matt. And then this past weekend, Mark and I actually got to attend the State Thespian Conference in Avon, and our Millers came home victorious. So it was a great weekend, and always happy to have a state championship in our hometown, and hopefully we'll get to acknowledge them here soon. So.
I was remiss at the start of the meeting that our former clerk treasurer, Janet Jaros, lost her husband recently, and so our thoughts and sympathies go out to her and her entire family. So we have sent condolences, but just officially, I'd like to be part of the record. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, thank you. The week and a half or so ago, I had the pleasure of attending the awards banquet for the Noblesville Police Department, recognizing the outstanding work that those men and women do every day to keep us safe and secure here in the city. Thank you to you all.
Anything else? All right, we are adjourned.